Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. And today, we have double trouble with the Chandler Brothers. And we're going to kick it straight off with their brand new track called Twisted Words. Boom. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I hope you're all doing well. It is Friday morning here in Australia. It's very cold and it's very early. And we've got another great interview coming up for you all today. Hope you're all doing well. If you're watching over on Facebook, hello to you. You can come over here and join us at YouTube at youtube.com/JadeStarr, or you can head over to the Twitch at twitch.tv/howtoapponIOS. You can hear the voices of two of our guests today. These two are brothers, funnily enough. the Chandler Brothers. We're going to find out a heap about them today, and their music is... that's going to be the first question, how they describe their own music. I really love their music. It's classic rock to me. Makes you feel good. So let's bring him on without further ado. Welcome to the show, both Patrick and Sean Chandler. Hey, we've got it working.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey. Hello, community. We love this community.
Damn
it's so great. And watching that track, boy, it just took me. That kicks arse. It kicks arse. I haven't watched it for a couple days on purpose just to get a little kick out of it. But thank you so much for having us. We're very humbled to be here.
I'm stoked to finally have you on here. So just make sure everybody, now we've got no echo, so I think that we're doing all right there. Normally at the start of the show there's an echo, but we sorted it out at the beginning. I'm going to ask straight off the bat. I'm going to start with Sean first. Because you know what? No, that's going to be my second question. What do you describe your music as, Sean?
I would describe our music as a rock-based type of sound, and kind of a little bit more simplistic, but harder at the same time. And it's just a sound that we really enjoy producing. That we've always done. I'd kind of base it as like an 80s, 90s type of rock and roll type of sound. That seems to do it for us.
Awesome. What about you, Patrick?
Well, I always kind of revert back to the old days. Sean is the catalyst of our sound. Sean is a unique artist. We don't really, I don't know. And that question I was going to ask you a little bit later about genres and getting stuck into one genre, or if you have multiple genres, is that good or bad? But Sean, he has the ability to come up with these melodies and these harmonies and lines and chord structures and stuff. So we obviously are based more of a rock and roll type, the late 70s, mid 80s rock type stuff. But if you look at our catalog of work, there's a very wide spectrum of different genres within that. We love the melodic stuff. We love the jazzy stuff, instrumentally type stuff. But when it gets down to it, our root and core is basically rock and roll, to put it simply.
Rock and roll, you heard it here, folks. All right, my second question before I'm going to ask about music is there a more dominant brother?
Oh,
You can call me a fucking bitch.
You're going to do it to us. Well, I'll start off by saying there's a yin and yang, black and white, good cop, bad cop. Sean is more of the good cop. Okay. I'm the bad cop. He's the yin, I'm the yang. So Sean is more of the artistic, fun-loving, hey, I'm going to put this track down in one night, whatever I get, this is gold. He'll send me something and say, man, I was partying, I did this, and we're going to go with it. I'm like, no, hold on a second. We need to be a little bit more organized and structured. Every time we do a project, I say, Sean, let's start this one out more structured and go about it the right way. Well, it doesn't always work that way, but there is no dominant brother per se. I say that we're 50-50. Yeah.
We help each other out in the whole adventure, and since we're brothers, it's kind of in the same. We can almost like read each other's minds when it comes to what we're looking for in our songs. We're after the same goal. And so Patrick will kind of slow me down a little bit and let's go back, or I can send him like 50, 60 bars of the song. And then I know once I send that beginning of the project over to him, that he with his vocals experience knows a little bit more about how to arrange the song and put it together to where it makes a little bit more sense for us. And when I get it back from him, it's a surprise. And then I listen to it and I go, hey, that works great. And then we just kind of ping pong off of each other. Even if we're in a spot on the song, well, how did you get your vocals to sound like that? we exclusively use the same apps in order to familiarize ourselves and keep on the same level. And if we're not really quite sure of the settings, we'll just do a screenshot, send them the screenshot, and then whip, 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 make a quick adjustment, and we sound like we're in the same studio. And that works out quite well.
I'm going to use that technique. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep. That's my new technique. I'm going to do a whole episode on that. Very, very diplomatic of both of you. I like the answer. So let's ask. Let's go. Now, before I go into the music question, again, I just want to get the brotherly stuff out the way first. So, you live far away from each other. How far away do you live from each other?
About 2,800 miles. East Coast, West Coast.
So virtually, you're a virtual band.
That is correct. Yep.
And how is the songwriting process living so far away? Like, I guess did you write music before you were living far apart? And were closer to each other. Is it easier being further apart or being closer together? Do you think?
I would say it would definitely be easier if we were closer together. As far as that's what me and Patrick have always talked about. Man, if we could sit in the same room, and go through this stuff, we would have this done in a night. But Patrick has so much time with his time differential. I have so much time that we need to get ourselves together. But we work good at the same time from afar because we have always written music together ever since we were 16 years old.
Yeah.
So it's not a problem. We're on the same wavelength. We're always surprised with what each other can do. So we're really not that hampered. It's all about getting the great idea in the beginning of the song down, and then that's where the emotion and the drive comes. And we're at our point now, it's kind of like it's getting easier and easier for us to put these together and have a good time with it. Yeah, it's really fun.
What about you, Patrick? How's the long distance writing for you?
It's totally cool, and actually it kind of works out to our advantage sometimes because of the time difference. Obviously I have a full-time job, Sean has a full-time job, and a lot of times I'll get done with my work day and it's maybe 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock East Coast time. Well, Sean's still at work. By the time he gets home, I get that infamous call at 9 p.m. my time. He's just checking in. He's just getting in. That gives us some buffer time to be able to work on things. The distance doesn't matter to me as far as with the iCloud and sending the project up to the cloud and back to him. It's sitting there waiting for him. I'll say, hey, Sean, your task tonight is to figure out the vocals for the chorus tonight. Okay, so he'll work on that during the night. In the morning, bing, there it'll be. I'll get up in the morning and there it'll be. So technically, the distance actually kind of helps in some ways as far as timing of getting stuff done. Like Sean alluded to, if we were able to be together one weekend in the same house or same apartment, what have you, we could probably bang a whole song out in one weekend. With life struggles and time restrictions and stuff like that, our cycle time is probably about 6-7 weeks for a new song, and that's just the way it is. But a lot of that is in the post-production phase with the video and stuff like that, which we can get into it at a different time.
Sure. Let's say a lot of folks here, just so you guys know, because we don't have the chat here today when we do these double interviews, so I'll let you know who's here. So Thomas Christ is here, Andy Goldsby,
yes.
Paying to Get, Russ 8889, Nina's here, Alex Backus. Thank you very much, Alex, I think it was Alex who sent a super chat. Thank you so much, Alex, for that too. That's really kind of you. Who else? As I scroll through the list, SM Borthwick is here. Sarah Chandler's here. Sarah Chandler's here. Also, I think I said pain to get. We've got Ivan Idea is here. Sai, always effing good to see you. Who else is here too? And my glasses don't really work. Bubba's here as well. Hello, Bubba. Doctor's orders. I do a doctor's orders. Doctor's orders! There we go. We got one in there. Brad Example. Hello to Brad. Auntie G is here. Always good to see Auntie G in the chat.
Good.
Hambo Hounslow, thanks for being here also. Anyone else I'm missing as I scroll through? I think I've got most people. I think that's everyone. Hey, Kev Hart, thank you very much for the super chat, Kev. You're awesome, mate. What a good band, mate. So both Andy's here, and I'm pretty sure I saw his cohort in crime. Stu Cash is here as well. So
nice.
We've got both the Indigos. Capsalam is here as well. Hello to you. I think I've got everybody. Yeah. So let's get down to it. What does music mean to both of you? You can decide.
Who are you asking first?
You can decide. I'll go with Patrick this time.
Okay. Well, music means a lot to me, and of course the pat answer is it means everything to me. It's my whole world, which I do agree. Music is an escape for me. It lets me escape to a happy place. If I'm feeling down, it calms me down. If I'm over ramped up or overexcited, overwhelmed, music's my friend. I can always count on music to be there for me. It never lets me down. It never says, oh, no, hold on a second, I don't have time for you. No. I mean, I press play, there it is. Music defines moments in my life. You look back to your childhood. I can remember putting plastic Revel models together in my room. My mom would buy me a model car kit, and I'd sit for 7 hours in my room listening to KFRC AM radio and the 70s music just playing in my head. And when I hear Jim Croce, Elton John, all those kind of 70s music, and that brings me back to my childhood and me sitting in my room putting that model together. What about my high school prom, my first big date when we were sitting in a car at the drive-in, what the REO song that was playing, my wedding day, almost every defining moment in my life can be remembered by a song that was relevant at that time. Music to me, it stimulates my mind. It can stimulate people's minds. You take a fussy child that's crying stuff. What do? We sing them a lullaby. Lullaby. When language can't work, music soothes the soul. Art is it's basic human functions, and I think humankind and music go hand in hand.
Absolutely. Sean.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Thumbs up.
To the previous statement. To me, music is I would say 3/4 of my life, and it has been my friend, and it has helped me throughout my high school days and intermediate life days. It has always been there with me, and to me, music is something that is yours to keep for yourself if you want, if you're writing original music, because it means a lot to you, and it definitely gets ingrained into your soul, and it becomes your friend and a shoulder to lean on. So it has helped me through quite a few crises, because I always know this is the one thing that no one can take from me.
Yeah.
Boom.
I think people forget that too. It's a good reminder that, music doesn't always have to go out onto DistroKid. It doesn't always have to go out onto YouTube.
Right.
If you're not writing it for yourself, you should start, because it's the most soothing thing for your soul, and it's a healing tool as well. I know myself, with a lot of illness I've suffered over the last 6 years. Without music, I would never have had the energy to claw back to get even to be sitting here with you guys right now. I say it all the time. Without music, I'd be dead. That just is that simple.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot of people can't handle that kind of definitive statement when you say I'd be dead. It's like, oh, that's a bit extreme. It's like, no, you don't understand. Like, you'd probably be dead too, even as a non-musician, even just as a listener. You know, I think.
Well, Jade, I can ask you this. I'm sure this has happened in your life. Has there been a time in your life where music was somehow taken away from you for a while, just because of life circumstances? And then how did that make you feel? I mean, to me, when that happens to me, it makes me feel like all anxietied out, and it's like there's not a release for me to help me to cope with life's issues. And then if you don't have that, if that music's taken away from you, it's like you're missing something. It's like an appendage was cut off or something. And that's what it seems like to me. And then if I get back into playing again, everything's back all right. You know, no matter how many hours, I will spend hours and hours and hours, but it's all good time. And it's basically free time for the person that's doing.
Absolutely. Whoops, press the wrong button. Before I answer that, I'll just say hello to Boom, Metalhead Hippie, Thomas Gillane, Kim Harden Hudson. Hello to you guys. Yeah, look, I took music away from myself in 2003 when I came out as trans, because I believed, you know, this is 20 years ago almost, that who would buy music from a trans person? We're such a downtrodden part of society that, you know, trans people always looked at as sex workers and always in a derogatory term. Who would buy music from somebody? So for 3 years, I just stopped putting out music, but I was still writing it privately. So by the time 2006 came around, I found MySpace. It was like, oh, fuck it. I'm just going to put up a profile and put some music up and do it. Within 3 months, I had 90,000 followers on MySpace. I was like, what the hell? Because music transcends. Music transcends hatred. It transcends sadness. It transcends everything. And even like as a trans person, you can get through to people and actually help. So that's what I did. I used music to try and help that community. These days, not so much.
Great. That's awesome.
So, both of you, what do you recall the music being played in your household? And how did it influence you?
Well, I'll start with that.
Sure.
Very young in our years, there was always music played in our household. My Uncle Bob would always be there. He was a professional musician and an artist. We had Glenn Campbell playing. We had Willie Nelson playing. We had Floyd Kramer. We had all those early type year songs going on. There was a lot of blues in the house. My mom was a beautiful, or still is a beautiful blues piano player and vocalist. So that formed a lot of our background. We always heard music playing, and in our later years in our childhood, it transformed into Badfinger and Doobie Brothers and stuff like that. Bee Gees were being played. That was in the earlier years. We can remember when I was 5 or 6, Sean was probably 7 or 8 and stuff like that. My mom and dad would have little parties at the house. They'd dress it up as a nightclub, and I think it was called the Little Daisy or something like that.
Nice.
My uncle would paint matchbook, painstakingly paint little matchbooks with a daisy on it and stuff. They'd have all the friends come over. We'd be in our room by 9 or 10 o'clock, but we'd hear the laughter and the sounds and the joy and the Southern night, all the Chet Atkins. It's just so ingraining in us, and that's what we grew up with, and we really that was the formidable years of our childhood, listening to that kind of music.
Wow.
What do you remember, Sean?
I remember the same thing, and is what I can interject on that is for us, that was the normal. I mean, that was the normal. It was it was always towards the end of the evening. It was music time on the weekends. Parents would get together, and some of their friends would show up, and we'd be doing our thing. They'd be in there just playing music, and we'd be upstairs just getting started. I remember my first, which our Uncle Bob was quite a big influence in our life because, you know, of course we looked up to that whole scene. But I remember in second grade, I was already had my hands on a guitar, on an acoustic guitar. I'd bring it to school and tote it around, and you know, we'd all take turns playing, and so to us, having an instrument was always in the house, and it was always, whether we were toinking on the piano or playing around on the guitar in our formative years, it was pretty much normal to us. And being that it was so much in the family, it was like, well, let's just keep going and going, because it made me feel good as a third brother. We do have an older brother, Jim Chandler. I was kind of the middle one. You know how it is, being the middle. So I just spent a lot of time just playing and practicing, which was great. And then what's the old saying? Build it and they will come.
Yeah.
As I was progressed, and then the other brothers were picking up instruments. Our friends all started picking up instruments, and that was our life. We all got together and played, you know, in our teens, and it was always a good time.
Wow, what a household to grow up in! I'm incredibly jealous. So, does your other brother play? Obviously, he does.
Yeah, I'll interject on this. We have an elder brother, James or Jim. He is an accomplished guitarist. He's a luthier. He works on guitars, refrets them, restrings them, puts. He's a sound engineer. He went to sound engineer college several years ago. He's a very tech savvy fellow. We're trying to draw him into the garage band world.
Yes.
He has a garage band. I think he's secretly creating this arsenal of stuff. The other day he goes, "Oh yeah,
we don't know."
I went ahead and ordered my Sennheiser HD 280 Pros. I said, "Oh, you did, huh?" Because he wants to get on the bandwagon, but he's got interfaces. He's got more stuff than Sean and I have put together. So we're trying to draw him in. Our sister Sarah, which is the eldest of the siblings, is an accomplished jazz vocalist. She's from Louisiana, so she has that Cajun background and that background feel. Sarah, she wants so desperately to get into this, and I feel bad for her because we just haven't been able to get her into it yet. We have a lot of things going on with my mother with her health right now. And so that's the main focus for Jim and Sarah. She's with my mom out there in California. So, so we do have a very musical family, and we do hope that we'll be able to get them into the mix at some point. Maybe it'll be the Chandler family instead of the Chandler Brothers.
I know, I was thinking like the Partridge family.
Yeah, the Partridge family.
But like a lot cooler, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah's in the chat, so on you, Sarah, for doing that, looking after your parent there. That's very commendable. And I think that would be awesome. I'd love to hear a Chandler family album. Oh my God, it's got to happen. It's got to happen.
Oh, man.
And there's so much more. Did you guys see there's a GarageBand update today? Holy moly!
Oh yes,
Jeez.
yes, yep.
Wow.
A LumaFusion update. I'm just biting at the bit to get to it.
Yeah, GarageBand got a crap ton of stuff added to it today. So
Nice.
there's heaps of stuff. So it's quite unbelievable. It came out of the blue. I can see Pete Johns is probably sitting there right now going, I've got to get a show together. Oh! he shit the bed when he woke up today, I'll bet. So Sean, what was the first album that you purchased or was given, and do you remember what format it was on?
It was vinyl, and that would probably be, of course we had, our friends had the other albums, but probably Peter Frampton, Comes Alive.
Awesome.
Was probably the first one that I had purchased. Just the look of it, the rock and roll of it, the long hair, the onstage profile, and he was a great musician, and that was probably my first one.
And what about you, Patrick?
I say the same thing. I had Frampton Comes Alive. That is what encapsulated the live experience. When you start that or lay that stylus down on that vinyl, you hear the crackling, then you hear that first roar of the cheer come on, and ladies and gentlemen, honorary member of San Francisco, Mr. Peter Frampton, and then it starts up, man. I mean, it puts you into. You're right there at the concert, and you listen to it was a two album live set, and we would listen to that whole 2 albums back to back, and you were immersed in, felt like you were there. That's what created the live. That's what made me want to really make music. Was I want to be part of this experience, and so Frampton Comes Alive was the first major album in my life. Yeah,
it's funny. I remember with my old record collection. I used to have a huge record collection. Unfortunately, I don't anymore. But live albums these days just don't seem to have. So my live album that I went to when I was young was Iron Maiden's Live After Death, because I was a metalhead, and Jesus, and I'm sure Kev, who's here, is a fellow bandmate. That album, every time you just hear the beginning of it, it's just, oh my God, I want to punch shit. I want to jump around and go crazy. It's so iconic. And like with live albums these days, I've been downloading a few of them. They just don't seem to have that anymore. I don't know what it is, if they're too overproduced or they're too perfect. I don't know, that you don't hear the audience enough, and you don't feel it enough. I don't know. I haven't found a live album these days that has really hit me in the feels.
I would have to agree.
I think in some ways technology, for all its magic that it gives us, can sometimes kill that raw emotion, especially with live albums, just an opinion. Joe Glenn is here. Hello to Joe Glenn. And Sarah Chandler wrote in the chat, let me find it. Frampton, music is my food or life. Don't take it away. Don't take it away. Rick Lisk is here as well. Also, good to see Rick and Fam as well in the chat. Where are we? You mentioned, Patrick, you mentioned a few bands there and like as artists you remember growing up. Are you like that were artists who were related? Is there were you guys inspired by, artists who were related? Because, I mean, there's a lot of artists throughout the world who are related, who amazingly, there's not a lot of them who make shit music.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I agree with that. Yes, we had all of those late 70s and 80 bands. Foreigner, Loverboy, Iron Maiden, Scorpions, all those bands. And I'm trying to think of like you say, that the related, I know that AC/DC had some sort of a relation there, a few of those members and stuff like that. But I can't really say that the connection of a relation had much to do with my fondness for those bands, to be honest with you. Yeah.
It always interests me when I see related people who are related who make music, that they tend not to make crap music. What do you think is the ingredient? Is because there is a connection? I'm very interested in this. I know, because I actually know some twins. This is a bizarre story. This is an anomaly. Born at the same time, both male twins. One of them's a guitarist, and the other one can't play any music for shit. And it's so bizarre. Like, their tastes are completely different. One's into film and one's into music. And like, they actually work together writing music for the other's film, but they're not into each other's style. I find that bizarre as fuck.
Yeah, that is odd.
Yeah.
Well, I would have to agree that being related, you have that DNA that connects you. And like Sean says, we can finish each other's sentences. We can, when we're working on a song, and I traditionally, I'm the one that kind of comes up with the verse or what have you. And that's what sets up Sean's chorus. Sean is the melody maker, and I believe that a chorus is a catalyst of a song, and that melody, and Sean hits it right on the nail every time. We'll be doing a song, and I'll write the lyrics for the verse, and I'll record the verse, and we'll stop at that point. I'll send him the project, and I'll say, okay, Sean, your task for tonight is to come up with the chorus for that song. And my gosh, 9 times out of 10, it's exactly what my thought was and what I had envisioned for that song. And it's just remarkable. It gives me goosebumps a lot of times when we share this stuff back and forth. It's like, that's exactly what we were thinking, you know. Not only that, but our vocals, when we do backups and harmonies together and stuff, and there's sometimes when we do a song and there'll be a vocal part, and I'll go, was that Sean or me? You know, I forget who did what, because there is a certain timbre, there's a certain DNA structure within there that just makes it so beautiful in our eyes. Or that's you know, how we feel about that. Yeah,
absolutely. So I normally ask about music lessons around this point, but I feel like I just throw that question out the door, because growing up in a house with music, did you need music lessons?
When I very first started playing on the acoustic guitar, my mom had set me up for some acoustic guitar lessons. And I think I went to maybe 3 or 4, and it was just so slow, the learning process, and I was learning so much faster than what I was being taught. You know, of course, I jumped the gun on that and just said, well, I really don't need that, those lessons, because I'm actually learning faster on my own, and just from what I'm hearing in my ears and what I want to play. Versus ding 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 ding. Well, how about dig it ding ding dig it down down? I mean, I was into another way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, totally self-taught. Patrick self-taught also, and we were there hours and hours. I mean, we played so much in our youth. We had a rehearsal hall up in Placerville. We get everybody together. And it was so great because we get the whole band up there, and we would do cover songs for probably about an hour, because that was what we did. You know, we play at all the little high school parties and community centers, and we would rent community centers and play at them. And then back to the rehearsal stuff, we would play. Then the other guys, the older guys, oh, we're gonna take off. And then Patrick would switch from bass to drums, and a friend of ours would get on the bass, and then we'd play another hour just playing original music.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, we're here, we were having fun. We'd play all night long. Nobody ever disturbed us, as loud as we wanted to play. And then so when we go play our jams or our parties, we would play all of our cover tunes, and then they'd say bye, we'd do our switch. And lucky for you guys, here's another concert. Then we'd play another, 45 minutes of just original tunes, all lead guitar, all rhythm, just smoking stuff, anything we wanted.
Man, I'm sitting here just jealous now. I want to grow up in your world. Yeah,
It was fun. It was very fun.
I can fully understand. Like, I remember when I was doing singing lessons, even though I really didn't have any idea how to sing or anything. Oh, God, I was already singing in 3 bands, pretty much. And so you got someone trying to teach you these basic steps all the way back to the beginning. It's like, I'm doing 2 gigs a week. Like, what the hell? I'm like 15 years old. What the hell? Can we speed this shit up? What's going on?
Exactly.
We'll jump in to play a song, another song. You guys requested to play Stages in Time. Was there a particular reason you want to tell us about Stages in Time, Patrick?
I would. Stages in Time encapsulates, it's a retrospective on our lives. All the things that we've been discussing here right now, this song encapsulates that. It has all the vintage photos from those gigs. And actually that song that Stages in Time, it was actually called Life in the City when Sean wrote that originally. and it had different vocals. It was a life in the city, ain't what it's cracked up to be. So it was a totally different vocal and everything, and it never really saw the light. But it was one of the first songs that Sean wrote. It was one of the first songs that I taught my son to play guitar. That opening riff, dun 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 dun. So that when we made that song, I told Sean, I want this song to be about our beginnings, and I dug through slides and photos and scanned, and that whole song is just an encapsulation of what we truly are. And that song lived from the day when we were 16 years old till the day it was released, 2-3 months ago. So it's a very important song to us, and it means a lot to us.
Awesome. All right, well, I'll check myself on mute. You guys can do the same. I'm going to grab a water because I've got no water and I'm dry as hell. And folks, this is hello to Pete Johns, who's just joined us as well. Hello, Audible Video too. Big day for Pete. Big day for Pete GarageBand, mate. All right, so this is Stages in Time by the Chandler Brothers, and we will be back shortly. Boom. I think I stopped at the right time. So that was Stages in Time by the Chandler Brothers. You guys can unmute now if you want. I guess you're unmuted. Maybe. Oops, I've lost Patrick. Patrick's gone. Let me fix that up. Let me just mute this out for a second. So I don't know where Patrick's gone. If he's still here, maybe he had to drop out.
No, I'm here, but let me see here.
Yeah, your
Am
video.
I back? There we go.
There you are. Let me just bring your image back in here.
Okay, great.
There you go. There you are. You're back.
All right, good.
So, bands. You guys obviously played in bands at a time. Do you remember have you played in bands together, or like have you played in separate bands? Give us some rundown, some early bands that you've played in.
I'll start off with that, and Sean can encapsulate on it.
Sure.
Our first band was Phase 4, and we kicked that band off. That was our first taste of live playing. I was the bassist, Sean was the guitarist, Pete Oliver was the guitarist, and Chris Shiner was the drummer. That was our first live band that we put together. I was 14 years old, Sean was 15 or 16, and we played for the Ponderosa High School talent show. This high school we lived in the foothills out of Sacramento. It was a large high school. It was about 2,800 students, and so this talent show was going to take place, and we thought, we got to get a band together. We got to play this talent show. Well, that's what started it for us, because this talent show had 800 people in the auditorium, and I was so nervous that my stomach felt like somebody had kicked me, just gut punched me so hard. I played the whole show, which was 3 or 4 songs, turned around to the audience. I never even looked at the audience because I was so nervous, and I've never felt that nervous in my life after that. But that show was defining to us, because when we played and we stopped, when the song stopped and you had 800 people cheering in an auditorium, it was like Peter Frampton comes alive, and we were just like, whoa, man, this is what we want to do. And it got to a point where we did 3 originals and we did 1 cover. We did Cat Scratch Fever, Ted Nugent as the cover, and then we did 3 of Sean's originals. Sean had a Memory Man effects pedal, which was just wow, and and by then we'd built up a little bit of a following with some of our friends, but the people just went unglued, and it got to a point where the people wanted more and more. They started rushing down from the bleachers and down onto the auditorium floor, and finally the principal of the school had to go and start pulling the plugs on our amplifiers
to
stop us, because we did not want to stop, and that's what began the fuel to make music. So that band was defining. Our next big band was called High Voltage. That was Sean on guitar, me on bass. We had several different drummers, and we had a singer named Chris Trussell. And that was our main big high voltage rock band. And then I went on to other bands, but I'll let Sean go from there. Sean, if you want to take over. I don't want to just dominate here. I'm not the dominant brother.
Yes, you are. So after that, I had formed another band with it was me and my older brother Jim and Pete and Gary Johnson was doing vocals. We had another little studio that we were practicing in, and which was, it reminded me of something that you had said, Jade. It was we went there every night. We practiced for almost a year. Occasionally we would do a gig here or there, but then we go back and practice. And then right when we were good enough to release an album or go further, Joey got married, Stewie had to leave. All of a sudden now, all that time that we put in what was just kind of gone. It's like, well, where do we go from here? So back to the room and back rehearsing. But you know, it was all fun doing it for all that time. But we really should have been out gigging more because we were a very good band. It was all original, but you know, people change, life changes, and then you know that's just gone. All that time is gone.
Yeah, look, it's one of the things I don't miss about playing in a band because. And I've been guilty of it of myself in bands that I've been in. I just lost interest, and you know things changed, and then I disappeared from the band. But yeah, juggling the personalities, juggling the time, juggling the egos that come with, even though you're playing gigs to 8 people, which I never understood. Like, how can you have an ego? It's like, we made $8, folks. Like,
well, you only offended one.
Yeah. So, but it's one thing I don't miss about not being in a band these days and having virtual bands, because although like I've just been told I've got a gig coming up next month, but again, it's by myself, so I don't have to worry about anybody else. And yeah, I'm sure there's many people out there who've played in bands in the past, because you know, and got to the same point where it's like, finally everything's clicking, everything's good. You're gonna get married. Oh, your girlfriend keeps coming to rehearsal. Fuck her off. Like, why is she sitting there each week? I don't miss any of that shit. Virtual bands are so much more fun. So along comes GarageBand, because you guys make all your music in GarageBand, yeah?
Yes.
That's correct.
And on iOS?
Yes.
Yes.
What's it? What has it meant to have something like GarageBand come into your life? Like, I know sometimes we look at GarageBand and just go, oh, like it could be better, or like it's I don't know. What has GarageBand meant to you, Sean?
Good question. I was at a point in the moving around, and it was at a lull of in between moving, where I couldn't really play all that much. My guitars were put away. I was getting that feeling again of being stagnant, and you know, and there was only one way out for me, was to get back into music. And real quickly, at one point, when just to make myself feel better, I'm also an accomplished oil painting artist, landscape scenery, which I could get into and paint for 4, 5, 6 hours and get a lovely product at the end of it. And it's very similar to painting is very similar to music, as far as starting with your background, moving your way up, putting on your layers, thickening, darkening, and then right at the end there, you get the highlights, and you put your little shinings on the trees, and now the product is done.
Yeah.
And then it was back to, I was like, well, what's going on? I finally got an iOS iPhone, and I had discovered, you know, hey, well, my brother Patrick had mentioned, there's this thing called GarageBand. I saw a couple of advertisements on TV, guys on buses and toying. I just thought it was a little toy. Didn't put much into it. I tried a couple of other, little beady type beat boxy things. That wasn't really doing it for me. And I said, well, let me just look into this, into GarageBand. And myself, I was truly amazed at how awesome it was and how awesome it sounded. I mean, at the time, of course, I could not even get a recording going, but I could get my little Chinese instrument on and I could strum it. And then, well, that sounds pretty good. Then I slowly learned how to get the drums in there. Then start with the 8 bars and get a little something going on that, and which was great. And I did all inside app music, as far as keyboards and the bass and the drums, and getting into some of the vocals and some of the strummings of the guitars. I put some chorus on there, have it sound decent. But the whole thing was man, I just really can't get my guitar going in here, and I'm so afraid of what my guitar is going to sound like, because I was a tube amp player all of my life. And I said to myself, there is no way possible that I'm going to get a guitar sound that sounds worthy of what I want to happen. And I was a little disappointed with that. And so then I had gotten, I said, well, let me gear up then. So I got my Amplitude 4, Amplitude 4. I got that rolling, and then just started experimenting with amps, and still it was not sounding right. It was still just a little too tinny and crunchy, and the delays weren't right. They only give you 2 slots after the amp for some effects, which I have to have the delay at the end of the chain, of course, otherwise the delay doesn't sound proper. And I was getting through, and that was okay. It really wasn't quite sounding up to my muster. So I really went into a lot of YouTube videos and finding the person that had the best guitar sound and how did you get it.
Yep.
And that was the defining moment to where I was able to figure out how they do it, not with any of the reverb. That is no spring reverb, none of the other little reverb. It has to be, once I found Bliss Shimmer and put that on the trail for my reverb on that, and I dialed in my distortion and chorus, Tricera chorus is what I use, and then found out that you don't need a whole lot of echo. You can build a little echo into your amp, but as far as tailoring your sound, going to the interwebs is what I used, was like a Nimbrini rack mount digital delay. Just have that baby on maybe 1 click up on your mix, and one click, just very, very minimal to have everything mixed in to where you're only getting 1 hop, and it doesn't go over into your next chord program, which can cause some problems. And once I figured that out, it really did sound good. Then I listened to it back. I could tailor in, my treble and bass. And then it was like, man, I can actually do this. I can actually get a heavy rockin' sound that doesn't sound all tinny, and it sounds nice and beefy like a tube amp. And then I was like, well, let's go. We're on now.
Oh, yeah. Patrick, what does GarageBand kind of mean to you?
GarageBand has been a doorway to heaven, if I may say, in retrospect, because when this all started, it was basically due to COVID. We were locked down, we were stuck in the house. Sean and I would talk, and I got to say that the GarageBand, as a brother, our relationship, if you want to look at it even in that retrospective aspect, Sean and I talk every single day of our lives for the last 12, 13, 14 months. And that started with the COVID lockdown, and everybody's locked down. We were bored. What are we going to do? And as Sean had mentioned, we talked to each other. We was like, well, I told Sean, I said, there's this GarageBand thing on here, and we're musicians. Surely we could pull something together. And back and forth, we started doing some little projects and stuff like that. But GarageBand has opened the door musically to us more than anything singularity in our lives. And I have to say that the communities that are engaged with GarageBand, and thank goodness we found Pete Johns in the beginning. Sean said, well, there's this guy named Pete, and he's got some YouTube videos on GarageBand. I said, oh, really? And so I started looking into that, and we started, and thank goodness that we have these communities, because we would not produce what we're producing right now if we did not have the communities that we have. So in the beginning with the GarageBand, we'd start going back and forth, and I'm not going to get into the whole process of the recording. That might come later or something like that. But GarageBand has been definitive in our progression and our livelihood in music, and our well-being as far as being satisfied and just ecstatic with the support of the community and what you give, what Pete gives, what Metalhead Hippie gives. It's all just and the support of the community is so uplifting and so inspiring. All the great talents, and I can't even begin to name them all, but that's what pushes the bar higher and makes us want to do better. It's not a competition thing. It's just about wanting to do better, and it's always been about the music. And GarageBand has enabled us to reach those goals.
Yeah, look, it's a bizarre community, isn't it? Because I remember playing in bands, for the longest time in real world bands, and there was always like jealousy and stuff, and like it's maybe not so much in the metal scene. We kind of stick up for each other a little bit more in the metal scene, yeah, and all these communities here, there really is a sense of like building people up. It's an incredible thing, and it's not bullshit. It's not wishy-washy, which it's very rare to find that anywhere, especially on YouTube. You know, I follow a lot of other groups and live streams and stuff like that. Especially like, for example, the wrestling community. Oh my God, people just shit on each other every day. Like, you don't like a particular wrestler, you get shit on so much. And I just don't understand why people are so fucked up about that stuff. And I found GarageBand, when it first came out on iOS. I'd never used a Mac before. So when it first came out, I downloaded it, was like, wow, it was incredibly limited back then. And now looking at it today, like, not to go off on a tangent, but I've been doing a series this week on Gadget. And for Songtember coming up, I'm going to go back to GarageBand. And you know what? I'm so looking forward to going back to GarageBand. It's like a warm blanket. It really is. You just feel comfy in it. And there's no... You know, I was saying this to Cy. Maybe I'm going to throw him under the bus. I see a lot of people doing a show about apps every day, and how this door's better than that door, and this one's got more features and stuff. Funnily enough, I tend to see more people releasing better music using GarageBand than the other doors. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's just the ease of use that makes people feel more comfortable to be more prolific, and there's so little bugs compared to everything else. Hello to Joshua Good, Ed B. I think I've missed a whole bunch of people. Lady Rodaline, who's here as well. Infarction, I saw as well. So if I've missed you, I do apologize. So I want to ask about the process of your songwriting. How does it kick off? How does it kick off, and give us the chain of events to a Chandler Brothers song?
Yeah, I'll start off with that. Generally, Jade, it starts off with Sean sending me maybe 32 bars of a guitar riff and some basic drums. He'll send me that. He'll say, "Hey, I worked on this. I was sitting around last night drinking a couple beers, and this came out." Okay. So he sends that to me. I look at it. I say, okay. And then I go, okay, we can work with this. At that point, I think in my mind, how would this be a complete song? Often Sean sends me stuff, and I'll say, well, what am I going to do with this? You know, I got to think about this a little bit. And at that point, I start structuring in my mind an arrangement, and generally it starts out with a verse and a chorus, but that's the neat thing about GarageBand, is that can be swapped, flip-flopped, what have you. He'll send me that guitar track and just a basic drum track. At that point, I'll say, okay, well, we're going to need an intro. And then we'll decide on an intro, and usually that comes a little bit later. But I like to be able to. I'm more of a technical person. I like to be able to look at it and structure it. And the nice part about GarageBand with the the sections and copying and pasting and stuff, I can make a duplicate off of that and just play with it. And suddenly I've got, okay, well, I took what was originally the verse and I made that the chorus. Now the chorus is the verse, but then I'm gonna put that, and then we're gonna do a middle eight, and then we're gonna do the intro. And by the time I like to get the whole song kind of arranged to where we have a beginning and an ending, but not necessarily the final ending or the final beginning, because that's all like Sean described about painting, where you put the little highlights and the sprinkles on the end. So we start with that, and then I don't like to put the bass line down until the whole song is arranged and organized and structured, because I like to do the bass in one shot, one kill. I don't like to do sections and stuff like that, because I feel with the bass, it's more of a live feeling for me, and I just want to play the thing from start to ending, which Sean does a lot of that too, because once we get that structure and that progression down and that arrangement, Sean will go back and do the whole guitar part in one shot, one kill. You know, it gives you more of a live feel. But that's the neat thing about GarageBand and people that are starting out, is the fact that you can do just sections. And if you go to Pete John's or some of your apps and stuff like that, your shows, you can find out how to move and stretch and copy and paste and stuff. You can basically structure a whole song just by moving and swiping stuff. But after the arrangement and the structure is down, and I've put my bass down, then we start thinking about lyrics. Often we think sometime we'll want to write a song based on just lyrics and the vocals, but we haven't quite got to that point. It's like the music is what makes the feeling for the vocals and the lyrics and stuff like that. So once we have the arrangement, the song down, the guitar, the bass, and just a pseudo stock drum track, then we'll start thinking about the lyrics and the vocals and what that song means to us. And usually I kind of come up with a verse. Like I said, Sean is the master of melodies and the hooks. He's a hook master. He comes up with the hooks, and we kind of start ping-ponging back and forth with the reeling it in with the vocals, and then I'll go back to the drums and start tailoring that. I've got into a lot of different drum techniques, as far as videos from Pete and yourself and Gary Hubbs, even his takes on different, putting separate snare drums and bass drums and stuff like that. The drummer to MIDI trick, where you turn the drummer into a MIDI track, like on Twisted Words, there's technically 2 drum tracks, and then also added cymbals and drum rolls and stuff like that. But I took just a standard Logan or what have you on the main drum track, made it kind of the dominant, just a standard drum, then did the drummer to MIDI trick, and then was able to go back into that track and tailor all the velocities, add rolls and ghost notes and stuff like that, and then actually make that MIDI track a different drum kit. So now we've got 2 different drum kits, giving it different flavor, a different sound, and put a little wider on it, a little bit of reverb, compression, and really that's something I want to work more on, is the drum aspect of things. But after the drums are kind of in there, then we kind of go back and just kind of flavor things up, and we'll bounce things back and forth until we start saying, well, we need a little bit of this, we need a little bit of that, and often I'll make one change and I'll send that rendering to Sean. He'll go, nah, that's not going to work. It's just not going to work out. And then we'll kind of revert back, and that's something that I want to stress, is the fact that in the digital world, there's unlimited takes, there is no mistakes. You just make duplicates, you fart around, you experiment with stuff, the limitations, the mistakes that you make, often mistakes that we make turn out to be gold, for us. So that's kind of the process that we do with songwriting. We've simplified things over time. In the beginning, it was very, very difficult. It was a learning curve, and I was struggling with stuff. But over time, we've honed these things down to where it's more of a simple process, and I think it's a better product in the end.
Happy mistakes are the best mistakes. You actually wrote one shot, one kill, and I was waiting for Hippie to write the Hitman in the chat. And he did. And he did. Boom.
One of the classic comments that Sean made on one of the Hippie shows is, poor Dwight, he lost a toe,
Yeah.
and somebody was saying something. Sean says, I'd just say my guitar dropped on it. Well, what a classic rocker. I lost my toe due the guitar dropping on it.
Yeah. And unluckily, it wasn't the Flying B, because if it was the Flying
Oh
B,
my
it
God.
would have missed my toe. or it would have took out both toes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dwight. Nothing.
How do you how's your experience with the process, Sean, with GarageBand?
My experience has been actually very, very pleasant, and I find it to be, like we were talking about, not in the band situation where you're in the comfort of your own home. You have no pressure, and the ease and operation of GarageBand is relatively is a quick adventure. Like Pat was saying, most of the music might take 4 days.
Yep.
To complete, and that's all sealed and done. And then the rest is almost like, okay, that was like the hard part is over. Now we can sit around and start working on our lyrics, which is, of course, as well as I do, we hear our own music maybe way too many times, in the hundreds of times. But in the lieu of that, you're humming and you're kind of working out some sounds, and that's kind of what it is. And all of a sudden, the melody will come to you, and you lay down a little melody track, and that fits, and off to the races you go. But GarageBand, meaning to me, it's really opened up a lot of doors and has made me happy as far as getting back into playing. Everybody's got to start from zero and work their way up. It's one song at a time, but when you do it, you've done it and you have it recorded. Now you own that. That is yours, and it's just like a painting. It's you own what you do, and that's what I love about GarageBand is it's so fast and easy to lay down a track and build. It's a constant building.
What advice do you guys have, so on melodies, especially vocal melodies? Because, I know a lot of people comment on your vocal harmonies and melodies. I'll just state, for me, if I'm writing I try to pride myself on vocal hooks. And you guys know my style of music, and to be as honest as possible to the point that it's so blunt that you can't deny it. But to me, writing a hook, if I write a chorus and I walk away and can't remember it, it's in the bin. I have to immediately write it and walk away, and that's in my head. Pete Johns has an incredible knack of writing choruses that you walk away after watching one stream, and then for the next 3 days, it's in your head and you just go, get the hell out. It's an incredible knack. What's your advice for creating a hook?
I would have to say, do not overthink it. For one, yeah, definitely don't overthink it, and try to go down an avenue to where, like you said, it sticks in your head, and something that people can have an idea of a part they can sing along with. So don't make it too difficult. Just have some easy words, not fast, just easy words that blend into the melody, a catchphrase of sort. And like you say, if you don't remember it, maybe that doesn't work. But, me and Patrick kind of hum through it, and we kind of bounce off of each other. And it's like, well, yeah, that works. I remember that. And then somehow, that evolves into the name of the song. But I would just, say, try to keep it easy and very familiar sounding. And try to think of catchphrases, because you go back and you look at the older music, the older classic music, and that was their key to success of easy lyrics and rememberable lyrics.
Yeah.
Say for instance, how long has this been going on? An easy phrase. Who does not remember that?
Yep. Yeah, definitely. If you can't remember it, nobody else will.
Yeah.
I don't remember my name most days. Thankfully, I have it written on my show every day.
It's in your underwear, right?
No, it's definitely not there. Definitely not there. That'd be depressing. I'm not even going to go down that path. Let's talk about some apps as we are getting... you know what? I really want to play another one of your songs. And I didn't say I was going to do this. I just want to play this and then we'll come back. We'll talk about some apps here. And this wasn't planned, but I just want to play something that's probably not as heavy. Just to play a softer side. So we're just going to play Maybe Tomorrow. Because I think that's...
Oh, nice.
So
beautiful song.
I'm going to throw this up and we'll have a break. Remember to mute your mics, only because it comes through for everyone who's listening. And we'll just bang this through now. Let me just... love doing things that aren't planned. And let's... here we go. Make sure it's paused, ready to go. All right, let's play this and we'll be back with you in a second. Now, there's absolutely a reason I wanted to play that track. If you're thinking about creating music and a video clip, that is the correct way to use LumaFusion. Absolutely the correct way to use LumaFusion. Beautifully put together video clip using the simple backgrounds of you singing with a simple shot. Just Absolutely, because I think what I tend to see with some clips made in LumaFusion is people pile in so many different things, and you don't need it. Simplicity is the really way to go. You've got all those fantastic clips and stuff to add with story blocks. Subtlety, beautiful, and I really wanted to play that too because it shows you guys just ain't rock and roll. That and we were talking about harmonies and melodies, and that was just a perfect example. I'm glad I played that. Only because...
Thank you so much.
And I heard it in the background on the tracks that I've been playing, because I've been playing your tracks underneath in the background. I heard it and I was like, I'm going to play that. Make sure I get that in as well. But a beautiful song.
Yeah, that was a very, very, very nice song. That's when I first got into, using the Bliss Shimmer. Of course, I blew it out of the, wait, let's just see how much this can take. I turned that up. I think I even had some Black Hole on there.
Of course.
And much to my surprise, it just came out beautiful. I know that it was a little over processed, but now, later down the road when I listen to it as that song, as itself, that's what it is. It sounds beautiful to me. I mean, it wasn't overkill. It was a one thing. And it just has beautiful melodies, and that was a great song to write.
Yeah,
and a lot of times less is more.
Yes.
I mean, me and Patrick have been going on the road of less is more. Do what you do it right, but you don't need a whole lot of stuff to make the song sound better. A lot of times stripping it down, I mean, like our last song, it was just guitar, bass, drums, vocals. The sky's the limit of what we can do to it, but why? It would take away from the sound of it.
Absolutely. If you ever go into a recording studio with a engineer who you're paying money for, really good money, somebody who has credibility, it's the first thing they will tell you with your songs. You go in there and they'll say, this is a really fantastic song. They'll pick them out and say, great song, but you need to strip it back. You need to strip it back. And it's something everybody should do. Every song that you create, go in there and be absolutely critical and remove the shit. And you may think you need all of it, but if you look at every popular song, there's space, there's breath, there's so much room.
It needs to breathe.
Yeah, and I'm sure, just from my experience of working in recording studios, the engineer normally will allow you to throw everything at it. And then once it comes down to mixing, that's when he just goes, is this really necessary? No. And as soon as you pull those bits out, and the artist, as an artist, you get pissed off too, because you're like, hang on a minute, no, I want that in there. And it always works out for the best. It sounds like bullshit and pretentious and stuff, but it just is the truth. Did you guys do that in LumaFusion? Because I saw SM Borthwick say you just started using it.
Actually, Jade, that song was done in iMovie.
There you go.
And it's kind of like GarageBand versus Cubase, or you get the different things. iMovie is limiting in a certain proportion, but it's actually kind of good because it lets you get stuff done.
Yeah.
I did that one in iMovie. And I think it was one or two songs after that, every time I had LumaFusion downloaded for some time, but every time we'd get done with the music portion of that song, or the song that we were trying to release, it was like, okay, I'm going to do LumaFusion this time. Then I'd tap open, I'd open it up, and I'd just stare at it. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm going to delve into this learning curve at this point of this project. It wasn't until technically Twisted Words, the last release, that I actually did LumaFusion, and I embraced it. I took the time to learn it, and I can only it's just scratched the surface of what's the capability is. iMovie I love it. It lets you get stuff done. It lets you get it out. But yeah, iMovie was used on Maybe Tomorrow. And Jade, I wanted to ask you a question. That brings up the point, like with these different songs, and maybe the chat might have some input on this, is as far as genres, like as you can see, we have kind of a wide variety of genres. Is it good or bad to have multi-genres, or is it better to just be in one genre? But we do what makes us feel good. It's always about the music, and like this, maybe tomorrow, like I said, Sean was experimenting with the Bliss shimmer and the black hole and stuff, and that's what came of that. And so why not run with it? But I often think, I know commercially it's probably not a good thing to be bouncing all over the place, but we're doing this for ourselves, and if other people like it, that's great. But we have a realistic, healthy vision of what our expectations are. We know that we're never going to be signed or be a big artist, so why not do what makes you feel good? And do you feel that having different genres, because I know that you do a lot of different genres yourself, is that a good or a bad thing?
I think we're in a phase of humanity, of existence, where genres like gender and so many other things are becoming blurred, that I think genres are becoming a thing of the past. Honestly, yeah. I think you're definitely limiting yourself to defining one specific genre. I mean, for the longest time, for example, like being trans, I try not to use that word. I say stuff like I'm gender optimized. I try and make up other words for it because it's more interesting. Or like I say, I corrected the blueprint, or it's the same like my music. DreadCircus, I call gender optimized rock. You make up your own category for it. It's far more interesting to talk about making up your own words and locking yourself into a genre, I believe. I don't understand why people would limit themselves. And I think, too, like doing this show and say, for example, Russ, 88, 89, like he came, when I had him on the show, he's been on a couple of times, he came from a background of, dance music and electronic music and all that. And his latest stuff is very Pink Floyd and like guitar based and he's clearly capable of making multi-genre music. Everybody is, I think it's, you're putting yourself in a box, and that's unfortunate,
Yes, I agree. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how to define your music. I just call it music.
You gotta have a little spice in there. You gotta change things up. I mean, me and Patrick are looking forwards to the completion of our first album, and we want a little bit of diversity in there, to where when we plug it in and listen to it, or anyone as you're driving down the road or whatever, it's not all go go go. You can relax a little bit, listen to a beautiful melody and some swirling sounds, and then that next song, it sounds even better when it comes on, because it's not back to back with a similar song, to where all your songs, you really don't want to have all your songs kind of sound the same.
Oh, obviously, and even death metal has, like the stuff I'm doing with Kev at the moment. There's stuff in there that has a little interludes and mellow parts. You can't go full on, even though it's full on death metal. You have to. I think an album too, and it's just my opinion. Hey, an album has to be like a song with variation in it, with grooves, and it has to have velocity. The album has to have velocity like a waveform does. Or, it doesn't have to. You can release an album that is just go, 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 and that's fine too. And they're the albums, you'll put on and just to get out aggression. There's no correct way, but look, I think it's healthy. I think, being a metalhead myself, watching the metal scene change over years, where, people go, Metallica sold out and changed their whole style, and did they really? Because if you go back and listen to the music that they were writing back in 1986, it's pretty much the same chords, maybe just a little bit slower and a bit less distortion. Like, it's still the same shit.
Yeah. Just everyone grows. Everyone grows in their musical attributes. You're not going to be the same thing that you were years ago, and you have to grow as an individual. That's what makes you stronger and move on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Your music has to reflect your maturity, I guess. Well, that's no good for me. I'm doing this. I'm doing a thing called Kindercore at the moment. So I don't know, whatever that is. Let's talk about some apps. We'll go through maybe 3 each. I know that's limiting, but we are running out of time.
Yeah.
So, Patrick, you want to go first? Throw me 3 apps that I can bring up on the screen.
Yep, sure. For my bass, I use Mammoth.
Oh, yes.
Mammoth is a Mammoth app, and you had Jamie on just a couple weeks ago on one of your interviews. Jamie does a beautiful tutorial on Mammoth and how to get the most out of that app. I found that's my go-to as far as my bass. I'm able to start with a preset and then tailor that. It's just so intuitive, and you can get any sound you want. The different cabinets, the different crossovers. It's a beautiful app, and so that's what I use for bass.
It's very sexy.
On vocals, I use Bliss Shimmer. Bliss Shimmer obviously is like a go-to for us. We found that less is more. As we progress on each song, we kind of tailor it back a little bit, but more and more on the mix. But Bliss Shimmer is a definite go-to. The Nimbrini rack delay is our go-to delay. The GarageBand delays are great, but we found that simplifying things as far as the creation process and time restrictions is you find something that works and you just kind of go back to it. So that Nimbrini rack delay, it's a fond visual for me to see that, because it's just so friendly for us. And quickly, I'll get into the post-production part of things. Audio share,
of course,
is it's a must. You have to have audio. I don't say you have to, but
you have to. But
for us, audio share is the catalyst, because coming out of the rendering from GarageBand to my Files app, I share that to audio share. That gives me a visual of that waveform, which coming out of GarageBand, I shoot for 50 to 60%. I want the headroom for mastering. So when I send that over to audio share and I see that waveform, I know that's going to work good. And then I'll send that to Final Touch. Final Touch for me is my mastering app. I know that there's Lursen and there's several other ones out there, but Final Touch for me is a go-to. It's friendly. It's very, very easy for me to work in there. And once I send that from audio share to Final Touch, it's a very simple process for me. I don't want to complicate things. I figure the professional engineers know a lot more than I do. So on the pre-EQ, I'll just use a preset. I tend to use the rock brightness, and then I'll tailor those EQs as needed with what's coming in. For the modifier, which is a compression system, I'll tend to always veer towards the smooth presence, and that kind of has been our signature sound. And then I'll tailor what I need to do with that on the maximizer. I bring that up only to where it's just starting to go to 0 dB. Usually it's about 2.5, 3, 4 on the maximizer. And then the critical thing is that I go back to audio share. At that point, I can see that waveform. And now I want the dynamics there. I don't want to crush things. I know on some of our earlier stuff, like Love Me Right, I just crushed the holy living crap out of it. Yeah. And I pay for it every time I listen to it. I just cringe, because now I look back at that waveform, and it's just cigared, just smashed to the top. So through that process, back and forth until I got that nice dynamics and I'm not crushing things, then I go to loudness penalty website. And that is very crucial to me, because I'm a techie type guy. I want to make sure that I'm getting the most out of our song, and that I'm not going to be penalized when I upload that to iTunes, Amazon, through DistroKid, all those streaming and music stores. And I found that through that process of ping-ponging back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, by the time I go to loudness penalty, usually I'm at like a 0.04 or something like that. Like on Love Me Right, I was at 4.6. So that's telling me that YouTube and all that they're gonna compress that song by 4.6 dB, and I just can't have that. A lot of times I'll listen to songs on YouTube. I'm like, well, why is that a little bit louder than our song? But if you listen to the dynamics, I want as much dynamics as I can without being penalized. So that loudness penalty, the audio share, and the final touch is crucial to my post-production.
Yep. Awesome. What about you, Sean? iOS apps?
Me and Pat usually use pretty much the same. So for my guitar, I have the Amplitude 4, and I use the Ingle Powerball, because that seemed to have given me the power that I need to get a good massive guitar tone. And I don't switch around on a lot of amplifiers. I'll just simply turn the gain down almost all the way off if I want to get a clear tone, and sky's the limit on the gain. And then for my chain, I like to use the Tricera chorus by Eventide.
Let me bring that up as well. Don't even know how to spell it. I spell it. Got it right.
there it is.
I've got it too.
Oh yeah,
we call it
chorus.
Yeah, dude.
we can't get it right either. A very funny thing about it is there's so much you can do with this chorus on that top rack there that you see on your knobs. That gives you you can actually have two choruses going at once. But I found to get that nice 80s kind of chorus sound without it being too over intense, I go down to the lower knobs down there, and I just have it at 10% or 10 cents right, 10 cents left, and I turn the mix down on the upper chorus completely off and just use the bottom, and it just gives you a sweetly off-tuned, a very nice chorus effect, and that works out well for me. And then I use the Bliss Shimmer for my reverb.
And I feel bad. I don't know why I don't have it.
Very fast.
I don't know why I don't have this. I really should. It's the one Bliss app I don't have. Like, that's really bad. We love the Bliss Shimmer. It is so easy to operate, and after using it for a few times, me and Pat just have like go-to settings. Very fast, very easy, and very reliable. Yep.
And that gives you a very nice tailored end reverb effect on the guitar as well as vocals. And of course, if we want to use any kind of a harmonizing type of scenarios, we would switch over to the Q-Vox Eventide harmonizer, which that's a beast. It takes I'm still not all that proficient with it, but it's sky's the limit on what you can do with that.
Absolutely.
There's a lot you can do with that, and then of course we have Eventide's Black Hole and Shimmerberg. Can't have enough of that reverb. But
Black Hole's amazing.
Each of them have their own entity to them, and what you feel that you want to use with that, and that's kind of how we roll on our inner apps. We try to do most of our harmonies are actually all of our harmonies are all our own voices. We don't really use that for it. Maybe someday in the future we may do that, but me and Pat seem to keep a very good key at staying in pitch, so we really don't have to go with that, and we kind of like the natural effect of our harmonies.
Just on Amplitude, I thought I saw that they did an update, a day ago. So they added a new bass collection. It's 4 new bass amps and cabs and 2 pedals dedicated to bass. Added a volume pedal for free. updated all the bundles to 2021, fixed an issue. So they just did an update of it like yesterday, it looks like.
Nice.
So that's a shock. That rarely happens these days with the Amplitude app. Awesome stuff. Where are we? So we're at the end of the show. So thanks, guys, for coming on so very much. Let me bring us back to our 3-screen here. Thank you so very much. Now, everybody, and thanks everybody in the chat for hanging out today. It's always great to see you all. You're all such great people. Thanks for supporting the channel. I see Gary Hubbs has joined us a little bit late. Good to see you, Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Now, remember, all of Chandler Brothers music is in the description, so please make sure you head over, subscribe to their channel, and check out all their video clips, and download their music, because, you know, it's there to be downloaded, and I've got all of it here on my iPad, and it's well worth having. I'm going to hit you with the last question, and then we'll say goodbyes. We'll go with you first, Sean. Yeah, it's kind of pointless.
All right, I'm ready.
It's kind of may as well just have both of you up there. You can do half and half. Just don't call me a dickhead like Doug did. If somebody was considering becoming creative, when would be the best time to start?
I would say the earlier the better, because you have to start somewhere. You have to start from the beginning. It may not be all that thrilling for you compared to what you're hearing, but you have to start somewhere. And I would suggest, you know, just even if it's just working on the 8 bars, get through with that, and then move on to another instrument and another instrument. And before you know it, you'll find yourself having fun, and off to the races you go.
Absolutely. What about you, Patrick?
I would say somebody starting out, get into it as soon as you can. Just do it. Lay down some tracks. Make mistakes. Embrace limitations. Create a project. Make multiple duplicates of it. Get wild and crazy. Try different things. There's no big deal. You can always go back to the original track and get involved with our communities that we have to offer. I know we're limited on time, but I would like to thank your community, Jade, Pete Johns, the Create, Record, Release community, Ron Ward, GBU Live, Metalhead Hippie, his community, and just real quickly, Metalhead Hippie, he has the ability to bring your songs that are on life support back to life. And that is a genuine, really nice thing for somebody to do. Songs all have a lifespan. They're born, created, they live their life, they kind of go into retirement, but Hippie kind of brings them back, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
But my suggestion to somebody getting involved, get involved with the communities. Be engaged, however much time you can put into it, and just keep creating, and just do it as soon as you can.
Absolutely. Be dangerous too. Take chances. Not enough people taking chances. Yeah, man, no one takes chances in rock and roll anymore. What the fuck? Sarah Chandler wrote, so dang happy to see my bros able to share their love of music and music making. Thank you for having them. You're a star, Jade. Thank you very much, Sarah. I'm going to be waiting for the Chandler Family Project, or else, because I want to have you all on and have like 4 of you and freak the hell out. But I agree totally with Hippie as well. Hippie wrote in the chat, boom. So
yep.
Of course he wrote that. All right, so we're going to go out today and play The Drifter by the Chandler Brothers. So
nice.
If you guys want to hang on so we can have a chat briefly after the show, you can hit your mute button now. You can say goodbye to everybody if you like, and see you later, and we'll go out with this track.
Thank you so much, everybody, the community. We appreciate you. We love you, and thanks for lifting us up and making us inspired to do better. Thank you so much.
Peace out, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm wrapping up my final episode of my Kindercore song and releasing it, so that's going to be fun. And thank you guys for coming on the show. Thank you all for being here. This is The Drifter by the Chandler Brothers, and we shall see you tomorrow. Oh.